The NBA trade deadline was absolutely wild this year, and it featured one of the biggest trades in recent memory. James Harden going to Philadelphia along with Paul Millsap for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks. So who won this trade, and how does it affect the landscape of the league? Hello everyone, welcome back to Into Sports. I'm your host Evan. Today we're talking about that blockbuster trade, but before I do me a big favor and click the subscribe button because it would really help me out a lot. Anyways, I want to start from the Sixers' perspective because they are supposed to be getting the best player in this deal. And in the NBA, the team getting the best player almost always wins the trade. But Harden is 32 now. His health is declining, and he is having his worst season in a decade. And he isn't even in good shape half the time. So it would be very easy for me to write him off. But I've seen him sandbag it before and become rejuvenated when he gets his way. Because that's what he did going from Houston to Brooklyn. Remember, he was trying to force his way out of Houston. So he didn't play with much effort, and he was clearly overweight. But then he got to Brooklyn, and he was right back to being an MVP level guy very quickly. And now recently, for the last couple of weeks, James Harden has not looked good. But now it seems like he must have just been sandbagging it again to get his way out. So I think we are getting a good version of Harden in Philadelphia, now that he will be rejuvenated after this trade. And that's what I like about this trade for the Sixers. It increases their variance. They weren't going to win a title with Ben Simmons and Seth Curry alongside Embiid. We already saw their ceiling with that team. But now if they are getting the Harden, we all know, it increases their ceiling drastically. And now I think they realistically have a good shot at winning the title this year. But here's the negative with that. Assuming Harden signs a max extension next offseason, he would be making $62 million when he's 37 years old. So a couple years down the line, this could potentially turn into a John Wall or Russell Westbrook type contract. So the Sixers window is now. By making this trade, the Sixers are shrinking the duration of their championship window, but they have now fully opened up that window. And I like that because they need to take advantage of Embiid playing at an MVP level before it's too late. Now, I do think they are going to miss Seth Curry, but Harden is obviously a significant upgrade. He's a much better playmaker and creator, while Seth can't really create as much on his own. So I like this deal as a high upside move for Philly because they can't waste any more time with Joel Embiid in his prime. But I do have a problem with James Harden because this is getting ridiculous. In Houston, he completely gave up on Chris Paul, demanded they trade for Westbrook, immediately regretted that. He really didn't do all he could to try to make that work. So then he demands his way out of Houston. He gets to hand pick his destination. Obviously, we know he picks Brooklyn. He gets his exact wish. And now, just barely even 365 days after that trade, he demands a trade again? James Harden, I don't know if you got the memo, but the grass ain't always greener. James Harden is the ultimate misfit. He doesn't get along with anybody. He changes teammates like a girl changes clothes. And why should I really believe he won't be demanding a trade from Philly in a year or two? Because what do they have that Brooklyn doesn't have? I mean, I guess stability. But James Harden is a guy who ruins an organization's stability. He wants new teammates every year. He was constantly late to meetings. He frequently made his team stay on the road an extra day so he could party. He skipped camp so he could party. He shows up out of shape half the time. So I don't think stability is what James Harden is seeking. But ultimately, the bottom line is, when Harden is playing basketball on the court, he's really good. So I really have no choice but to like this trade for Philly. There's obviously risk, but you've got to swing for the fences if you want to have championship upside. Now on the other side, looking at this from a Brooklyn perspective, people are going to ask why they traded away Harden. But reportedly, he was done with Brooklyn. Harden was going to leave in free agency after the year, so it's actually miraculous in a way that they were able to get a young all-star in Simmons, a quality starter in Curry, and a decent backup big in Drummond, along with 2 first-round picks for a guy that was going to walk in 5 months anyways. And I also think that Ben Simmons is going to be a perfect fit in Brooklyn. He's going to be playing in lineups where he's surrounded by 4 different 40% three-point shooters. So the issues he had in Philadelphia with spacing are going to be fixed in Brooklyn. And now he can either play a Giannis type role where he drives and kicks to his shooters, or he can play more of a Draymond Green style role where he's the ultimate pick and roll partner and passer off of that. And of course, he also fills the Nets' void of perimeter defense. He is the best perimeter defender in the league, and he's going to a team that really needs perimeter defense. But we can't forget about the reason we are in this situation to begin with. Because last year in the postseason, Ben Simmons totally shut it down. He was not aggressive at all, and he took 3 total shots in 7 fourth quarters in the Hawks series. And then the Hawks just started intentionally fouling him because he shot 34% from the line in the playoffs. 34%. So we can't ignore all of Ben Simmons' issues, even though he is going to a team that fixes a few of them. And then again, I do think Seth Curry is a huge part of this trade. This is a guy who is 5th in career three-point percentage in the history of the sport. Even better than his brother, Steph. Yeah. He gives you 15 a game with elite efficiency, and he's going to be a key reason why the Nets will be the best three-point shooting team in the league. So I think this is a rare case of the win-win trade. Both teams got rid of their headaches in return for quality pieces that are going to help them win potentially a championship. So I think today, both teams are better than they were a week ago. But I don't know if either team has really separated themselves from the rest of the pack. Because I still think there are 5 elite teams in the NBA right now. The Nets, the Sixers, the Bucks, Suns, and Warriors. Those teams are all in the top tier for me. Now, I think the Nets are probably the most talented, but Kyrie may only be available for half the playoffs. So it's hard for me to really stake my ground with Brooklyn, knowing the Kyrie factor. But regardless, I think both teams got better from this trade. Harden and Simmons needed a change of scenery, and now the Nets and the 76ers have a legit shot to win a championship in the next couple of years.